Ask Reddit, what's a single valuable piece of information you would like to share? Old saying from workers back in the day, it's better to die at the first location fighting than be taken to a second. If you're being attacked by someone, you should fight back, scratch hard, get DNA under your fingernails, spit in unconventional spaces, spread blood behind and under furniture, do as much as you can to establish you were there and establish the attacker's DNA is on you in some way. Being taken to a second location ensures your death or your fate of never coming home almost always. Be loud even if they say they will kill you. Make as much noise as possible. It's better to die at the first location than to be taken to the second. At least if you die there, your family has a body to bury. The harsh reality is, if you're taken to a second location, you may never be found dead or alive. Even if no one intervenes, when they hear your screams, they may be able to get a description of who took you or their vehicle. If you are being taken to a second location, you need to stay calm and don't panic, it will cloud your decision making. If you're in a car, you need to attempt to pop open the truck. If the latch has been Jimmy Rigger, you need to punch out the taillight and become visible to cars behind you. You need to run the moment you get a chance. Run fast and don't look back, focus on breathing and what's in front of you, don't trip and don't stop running until you're sure you've found safety. This is also a good time to mention you should be ensuring at least one person in your life knows your location at any given time. Your family should have a safe word. This is a word that is only used in absolute emergency 911 situations. It should be something you can casually say but won't accidentally say in day-to-day life. If you were kidnapped and an adult, sometimes the captors will make you say you're okay verbally to family in an attempt to withdraw police attention. Make it seem like you're an adult who left on their own. You need to collect as much as you can in terms of a description. Anything: body weight, height, eye color, face shape, hair color, freckles on their body, their hands. Get literally any description you can, even if it's just the size on shoes or clothing. These things may keep you alive, and if you're alive, it allows for the investigation to not be as traumatic. It makes an easier cut and dry case. If you're outside during a storm and get a metallic taste in your mouth for seemingly no reason, then you're about to get struck by lightning. Police in America are legally allowed to lie to you to get a confession. They can lie about all kinds of evidence they have on you and that you have no chance but to confess. Don't say a word other than to ask for a lawyer. Never fall into the belief that it'll get worked out in court later. The second you confess, you're done. Even if you are guilty and want to confess, still get a lawyer. They'll work out a plea bargain for you that you could not get if you confessed to a cop before your trial. Don't drive if you haven't slept in the last 24 hours. A person who has been awake for 24 hours is as cognitively impaired as a person who is drunk. Don't accept criticism from someone you would not ask for advice from. Edit: what I am saying is to ignore a holies. Stop writing unnecessary paragraphs trying to tell me what I meant, lol. When you decide to sober up, be prepared to lose many people you thought were your friends. The most important piece of information you can give 911 is where you are, followed by what the problem is. Even if no other information is given, someone can still be sent to a location to see what the problem is. Bonus: if you accidentally call 911, just stay on the line and tell them it was an accident. It happens a lot. They won't be mad. If you hang up, they have to call you back. That is irritating. If you're ever in a survival situation where you have to forage for food, don't bother looking for mushrooms. The likelihood of finding an edible species that won't make you sick or kill you is so astronomically low that it's better to just spend that time looking for roots, berries, and herbs. When you are writing a paper and need X number of sources, if every source says the same thing, you can use and cite all of them. It doesn't have to be separate, discrete pieces of information. So 5 sources all say the sky is blue, you cite all 5 sources and bam, you have 5/10 out of the way, for example. No one told me this till I was in grad school, and they were like 25-page paper with like 30 citations, and I started freaking out because it was the biggest paper I'd ever written. If you fall into cold water, the ocean, don't immediately try and swim. Lay on your back and try and control your breathing. The cold temperature will take your breath away and you will initially take small quick breaths. You need to slow down your breathing as quickly as possible so your lungs can fill with air. Once you have done that, you will find it easier to float.
Fire doesn't burn where fire has burned, unless there's some kind of accelerant, like gas. So if you are in a forest fire, brush fire, field fire, etc., try to go to where the fire came from, because the fire won't go back there since there's no fuel for it to consume. If you feel like you're being watched and feel like you're in danger when you don't see anything around you, chances are, you definitely are. Don't ignore your fight or flight response. You're allowed to go to restaurants on your own. No one is going to think it's strange, and the staff might treat you extra well. I always suspected they thought I was a critic. So if there is some place you want to try but no one willing to go with you, don't deprive yourself. 3 bits of medical advice from old jobs. Strokes can come on very quickly. If someone has a sharp headache or feels woozy or is slurring their speech and you don't believe that's due to any substance they've ingested, ask them to smile. Is it even on both sides? Ask them to raise their arms over their head. Can they raise both? Ask them to say, "The early bird gets the worm." Are any words garbled, out of order, or slurred? If the smile, arms, or speech are not as they usually are, get them to a hospital. Sepsis can come on very quickly, an infection entering your bloodstream. Could be a cut, a boil, a piercing, an infected tooth, graze, or puncture wound. If the skin around the cut/wound is red and raised, hot to the touch, if the person feels nauseous, lightheaded or dizzy, if they have a fever or are sweating but feel cold, this could be a sign of a more serious infection. Get them to a hospital. Heart attack isn't always pain in the chest. It can also feel like a sharp stabbing pain in the upper back, above the shoulder blade, or like an iron bar around the lungs as opposed to pains in the heart. Get help as soon as you can. You're not being dramatic, I promise. Always better to seek medical help as soon as you can, smiley face. How to tell when a mirror is actually two-way glass. Find a mirror in your home to practice this on, it'll help explain it. Real mirrors are typically a thin layer of reflective plastic attached to a sheet of glass. As such, the glass is between you and the mirror, the actually reflective surface. If it's a real mirror, press something up against it, your thumbnail works, and look at the reflection. There should be a small gap between your thumb and the reflected image because of the glass getting in the way. Two-way mirror glass is completely different and will have no gap between your thumb and the reflection. They'll be perfectly connected because they're constructed differently and don't have that same layer of glass. Keep this in mind anytime you go to a new place with mirrors. A bathroom, a changing room, a bedroom, etc. Check the mirror quickly and see if there's a gap. If there is, you're safe. If not, don't trust it. Don't think you're fine after an accident, because the adrenaline rush is hiding a lot of stuff from you. The safe working load of any piece of equipment is 10% of the weight which broke that piece of equipment. It's useful to know in emergency situations. For instance, if the safe working load of a strap used in rock climbing is 350 pounds, that means the strap broke at 3,500 pounds while tested. You shouldn't go over the safe working load because it's detrimental to the life of the strap. However, you might be in a position where going over that load is the difference between life or death, and knowing that strap broke at 10x the working load weight can help make decisions. The majority of people who seem like they have everything figured out are actually figuring it out day to day, just like you are. Fake it till you make it and then just keep faking it. That's how it really is for most people. Even if it seems impossible, I assure you it's not. The important thing is drive and heart. As long as you genuinely want to do something and have the heart to see it through to fruition, you can be that person. Source: I'm doing it myself, and because of that I've worked with a lot of people who at one point I thought must be flawless, but aren't. I've met legends who would easily tell you the same thing, that they're still figuring it out. Don't feel inferior, you're not. Add all the water at the beginning when making pizza dough. Once you have a ball of dough, if you add water it's not going to incorporate well and you'll have to work your dough twice as hard to make it soft enough. Thank you for watching, friend. Until next time, and remember to stay hydrated.